Tokyo, so often described as a concrete jungle, I think would come to surprise people by the variety of green spaces that it has. And those are propped up by the amount of museums that you can discover. So when the topic of this video is going to explore the Tokyo National Museum, you can explore around that museum as well if you ever get a chance to actually get out to this region. And it's beautiful, calm, and peaceful, and there's 101 different historical buildings, displays, and interesting things to take note of. Should you be so lucky, Asaka actually even has an onsen, a legit hot spring that you can go and visit. And if you're craving a little bit of energy beforehand, there are some absolutely great hotels that include some wonderful traditional Japanese dining. I'm not usually one for fish in the morning, but when it's prepared very well, as you can often find it if you find these special places in Asaka, then you'll be treating yourself to a really impressive meal before you go out for the day. Lean, mean, and prepared to take in all the arts, I highly recommend checking out something like this because this is the sort of even burning fuel that is not just going to keep you awake, but actually a part of the cultural experience when you come to Japan if you can find it. Here today at the Tokyo National Museum, and they are putting on the Japan Cultural Expo. Here you can see 5 of Japan's important traditional performing arts. Now for a lot of you, it's going to be difficult to come and see this in person, but that's why we're creating this digital production. The museum was an incredible experience to behold. The images that you will see are taken from all installations at the exhibit, not in any order of style. This was my first exposure to the performing arts of Japan, and I can say with confidence, I'm impressed by not one particular style, although each is impressive in its own right, but more by the fact that they have each so influenced each other over the years through which they have grown. What I learned first is that if you follow the timeline of their inception, there was a root style, Gagaku. It takes its influences from both China and Korea. I was struck once understanding that, how you could see the cultural influences of the respective countries in both the colors and styles of the contributing countries. Shapes and color palettes I would usually associate with only China and correspondingly Korea were present in so many of the garments and accompanying tools of the art. A first sign of just how intermingled these arts are with the rest of the world if you simply look back far enough in their history. On that detail, it's notable that each of these different performing arts does not have within Japan one specific location from which they all originate. Instead, many different areas of Japan have contributed to their own style. Within the museum, 5 performing arts are on display. Kabuki, perhaps the most well-known, Bunraku, a kind of advanced puppetry similar to that you may see in North America, but in the Japanese iteration performed by black-cloaked figures, No and Kyogen, famously telling their stories from a beautifully minimalistic stage, Gagaku, as mentioned previously, the oldest tradition, most borrowing from other cultures, and finally, Kumiodori, a style which owes its origins to Okinawa, Japan. Each has influenced the other, and each provides some fascinating different perspective on these forms of Japanese fine art. Kabuki, the most well-known, has their tradition taken from the Edo period in Japan, and was performed by both men and women taking on roles that were opposite their gender. Dance is an enthusiastic focus of the art, and the beautiful costumes associated with the dances stand out as a centerpiece of what makes it so special to observe as the audience. Historical locations such as Nanzenji Temple from Kyoto feature in the stories that are conveyed through this style of performance. Bunraku is the poetic and skillful manipulation of puppets. It too takes its origin from Osaka as well, from the early Edo period of 1603 to 1868, but also continued to grow in popularity through the Meiji period of 1868 to 1912. The performance in this case is done to a musical recitative performance of Gidayu Bushi. The extremely famous instrument of the shamisen is used to create the melodic backdrop to what is sung. By the mid-18th century, it became common practice for 3 puppeteers to operate the show. Innovative and ingenious mechanisms were incorporated into the heads of the puppets by this time, which unlocked the potential for far more elaborate expressions to further engage with the audience and highlight the skills of those who would put on the display of this unique art. No and Kyogen are together referred to as no gaku. They were initially referred to as a pair and called sarugaku. And while at first this art form was exclusively an act done at religious rites, at temples and shrines, and was limited entertainment found at only those events, it would eventually embark from the sacred only to be included as well in artistically dramatic performances all across Japan, and at a variety of events and locations. The two forms play off each other as well. While no is considered quite solemn, Kyogen has more the element of laughter and playful energy associated with it. The guidebook provided by the museum perhaps best describes them when it reads, No and Kyogen are like siblings who branched out from Sarugaku to complement each other as tension and relief. It's quite easy to become lost in the historiosity of these art forms. In the brief time that I have dedicated to understanding them a little better, I fully admit to becoming entangled at times in the many historical dates and specific symbolism that each seeks to convey. When I am feeling lost, though, I am reminded that while the history is important, what carries them into the present day and future is that intangible element not able to be written down or spoken of. That ennobling experience that comes of the enjoyment participating in and observing a skilled art. And while clothes, tools, and stages may comprise what we literally see, they are in the end something more. A portal through which we are all invited to experience something new. I hope exposure to them will inspire others to look beyond the costumes and sounds to the world which exists not outside, but inside all of us whenever we enjoy an intangible cultural expression. But we do, in fact, have another way for you to experience this. This is the Japan Cultural Expo virtual platform. And this is the main area that you have access to when you go into it. Now, from the main map, you're going to be able to select a number of different locations for you to visit. The VR Expo app is available on both Android and Apple. All you need to do is download, install, do a brief sign-in and registration, and then you have access to this particular metaverse. From its main area, you can access many different parts of what you would see at the exhibition. Here we are at the Wood Art Theater, and it is here that we can see some of the performing arts that Japan has on display at the exhibition. Inside the Wood Theater, clickable links allow you to see them. And there's a lot of variety because they actually have 5 different kinds on display. There's more as well than the 5 traditional performing arts for you to learn about in this metaverse, and you can explore through a variety of different locations, each of which with its own set of information and experience that you can have. For me, the most fascinating point of interest was in the Wood Theater, where they had macro pictures which you could zoom in on to an incredible level of detail. I don't remember the last time that I had seen images of this kind of resolution that would allow you to do that. This was a lot of fun, and there is a ton of cool information here to explore.